Chair, good morning. Today we will be continuing to hear evidence from the families of those who have died. This morning we'll hear from Carol Stokes, the mother of Lee Henry Spencer, who died on the 27th of August 2019 at aged 20. This afternoon, Chair, you will hear evidence in a private session from a family witness to whom you have granted a restriction order. Before we hear any evidence, I want to point to the fact that today's evidence may again, in parts, be distressing and difficult to listen to. For some, it may not be possible to sit through this session. Anyone in the hearing room is welcome to leave at any point. I would also like to remind people that emotional support is available for all of those who require it. We have support staff from Hestia, an experienced provider of emotional support, here today and for each day of this hearing. There is a private room downstairs where people can talk to Hestia support staff if any emotional support is required during the hearing. Those particular staff are wearing orange-coloured lanyards and scarves, or speak to a member of the inquiry team and we can put you in touch with them. For those who may be watching online, information about available emotional support can be found on the Lampard Inquiry website at lampardinquiry.org.uk and under the support tab near the top right-hand corner. This is for all of those engaging with the inquiry to feel safe and supported. Could the witnesses be sworn, please? Or witness, I'm so sorry.
Do I need to stand up? I, Carol Stokes, do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Thank you.
Could you state first your full name for the record, please?
Carol Stokes. Sorry.
Carol, this inquiry sent to you a request under Rule 9 for written evidence, and you provided a witness statement dated the 7th of May 2025. You should have a hard copy of that statement in front of you. If we look, please, very briefly at page 17, that is where you made a statement of truth.
Yep.
And you signed. Mm-hmm. Can you confirm now that you are happy that the content of your witness statement is true and accurate?
Yep.
Thank you. Carol, as I've said, you are the mother of Lee Henry Spencer, who was born on the 23rd of September 1998 and who died on the 27th of August 2019, aged just 20. Your statement comes obviously from, and the evidence you're to give comes from your own recollection of events, but also, as I understand it, from your and your legal team's analysis of some of the records, and in particular from a root cause analysis report that was produced after Lee had died. Is that right? Mm-hmm. You came to this inquiry's hearing in Chelmsford in September 2024 when you gave commemorative evidence. You spoke to us about Lee as a person, his life, the development of his mental health problems. Mm-hmm. And you spoke also to us about the impact his death has had on you and on your family. We thank you for that evidence and for your evidence today. Going back a little bit to the background and some of the matters you told us about during your commemorative evidence back in September 2024, I understand that as a young boy, he was fairly typical. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
You tell us in your witness statement that you began to notice some problems, although not mental health problems, but problems with focus and concentration when Lee was in school.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about those.
He couldn't sit still. He didn't concentrate all of the time. Very hyperactive, was much happier when he was outside doing fun things. He did learn. He didn't stop learning, but he didn't concentrate as much as he needed to, really.
Yes.
And you always knew that he would do something more constructive as he got older, rather than professional.
Something practical,
yeah,
something outside, something with his hands.
Yeah, yeah.
There came a point, I think, during his schooling where he was assigned a mentor to help him with his focus and concentration.
Yeah.
What stage was that, primary or secondary?
It was primary. We used to go for meetings at CAMS. I can't remember how often, once a month, I don't know.
Yes.
But also there was a mentor in school, which they never told me what was happening or anything. They just used to just pull him out of class and sit with him and talk to him and stuff.
Yes. And I think he also participated in some after-school clubs and activities to help him sort of channel his energy and learn to focus.
Sport, everything sporty. He didn't do any other extra classes that didn't involve. He was in all the school teams and
yes,
but everything sporty.
He needed to be moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was in primary school. Did that kind of mentorship or those kinds of issues continue in secondary school?
Yeah. He still was the same. Still struggled with staying still and concentrating for too long. I mean, he was never suspended, or he was never in trouble at school.
Yes.
But he didn't excel in the learning side. But he was in all the school teams still,
yes,
in the secondary school and everything. So,
given all of that background, help me please. Did anyone at any time suggest an assessment, for example, for ADHD?
No, never. Through all the people that he saw at school, nobody ever suggested having him assessed for anything.
As I understand it, you consider that Lee did have undiagnosed ADHD?
Now, yes.
In hindsight?
Yeah.
Yes. And I think, you must correct me if I'm wrong, you also consider that sort of misdiagnosis was a very important factor in the later development of mental ill health?
Potentially. If he had have been diagnosed and received help that he could have had, and medication maybe. Yes. Maybe it wouldn't have it would have contributed into the down spiral of him when he was older.
Yes. As I understand it, looking back, you would say that his serious mental health difficulties began in around about 2016, so he would have been 17.
Yeah.
And tell us about those and how he presented. What is it about that period that makes you say that that's when you really noticed that there were mental health difficulties?
He struggled with, if there was any disappointment, he'd sort of spend a lot of time in his room and not really wanting to talk and not wanting to sort of socialise in any way, and
yes,
just wanted to be left alone.
So isolated, withdrawn.
Just and just not the person that he was before. You just saw him just go down and take quite a long time to get out of situations. Like, if there was something wrong, there was an upset of whatever. Yes. It took him quite a time to get through it and not just be able to just shrug it off and get on with it. Yes,
one of the things I understand you to have told us in your witness statement is that things that might upset us in general, but that we would be able to brush off fairly quickly. For him, it took you a long time to talk through something that had happened and to unpick it and for him to begin to settle again. Yeah. Yes. I understand that Lee himself, when he was about 16, said to you that he thought he might have ADHD.
He did, yes. It was definitely after he was 16, because I said to him that he needed to go to the doctors himself, because I couldn't. He was allowed to go after.
At 16, yes.
And he did go. I can't remember. It was after we moved, so it was after August 17. He did go to the doctors. Yes. And asked to be assessed. Yes. And he was sent this stuff to phone up and make an appointment, but he didn't do it.
He didn't do that. And by then, of course, it wasn't... Well, you could possibly have made an appointment for him, but you couldn't manhandle him to an appointment. No. He would either go or he wouldn't. Yeah. Yes.
He knows I was supporting him, and he knows I would have taken him to any appointments that he needed. He was to go to, but he didn't. Trying to make him independent and trying to teach him that your mum's not going to always do everything for you, so
yes.
you need to make the appointment yourself,
yes.
and I will take you to it.
Yes, and he didn't do that.
No.
I understand that he had other problems in secondary school around... You learnt this later, I think, but that he was involved in a number of fights, and that on one occasion in particular... you learned later that he had been beaten up, and that continued to affect him for some years. Yeah,
I think it affected him more mentally and emotionally rather than physically. He didn't. There wasn't. I don't remember him being bruised. Injured. Or
yes.
So it was the more what happened to him, like internally,
yes.
that.
And I think actually the records reflect that, because what has been picked up is that in the GP records show at a later date Lee himself saying to the GP that he felt that his depression had started from that incident of being beaten up at school at 16 years old. Yeah. You say that at around the same time, although you didn't know about that incident, that he began to hide things from you in a way that he hadn't done before. Do you mean he just wasn't engaging with you as much?
Yeah, he sort of... I mean, we were really, really close, and most of things that happened he'd talk to me about.
Yes.
But sometimes it took him a little bit longer. The bigger things that were going on with him took him a little bit longer to talk to me about.
Yes.
So I sort of found out about it, like, once it was a major issue rather than a minor issue.
Yes. There are a couple of other things that you've noted and want to say that you think were contributed to or were important factors in the development of mental ill health in Lee. And I think one of those is the lack of a father in his life. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, his dad was around.
Yes.
He was always there, but he was more, if you want me, I'm here.
Yes.
Rather than actually actively involving himself in his life.
So not proactive in...
No, he'd sort of, when my daughter had her son, because my ex-husband lived far away,
yes.
So he'd come down and he'd come and spend time with her and the grandson, and then Lee would be at the end, sort of, if you like, come and talk to me outside, sort of thing. Yeah, there was no, like, he never, at the time, obviously he didn't want to go and spend time, he didn't want to go up to where he lived,
yes.
because he had his social life and a job and all the rest of it, but yes. There was no actual quality time spent with him. It was just sort of a chat in the car when he came round. And
like an afterthought,
yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I feel that's...
One of the things that you say is that you consider, again, looking back, or perhaps you knew it at the time, that led to a very diminished sense of self-worth in Lee.
Yeah, he always felt that, well, not always, but as he got older and as this sort of developed, he felt that he wasn't important to anybody.
Yes. You've told us that you were very close and that he would talk to you about what was happening in his life and what was going on. I think one of the other things that you've told us that he confided in you about were some issues around his sexuality. And that was something that you engaged with him on and supported him on, but you know that it was something that troubled him and continued to trouble him. Is that fair?
And that's one of the things that he didn't tell me for a long time.
I see.
It took him a long time to actually confide in me and tell me what was going on.
Yes, and when he did, you made very clear to him that there was no judgment from you and that he was safe to express himself, and you welcomed him telling you about the issues he was having and his thoughts and so on. Is that right? What you tell us is that after secondary school, Lee went on to college, I think, and that's when signs of possible mental ill health became more visible.
Yeah. He did the first year of college.
Yes.
And then he was offered an apprenticeship, which he took, and was going to finish the course whilst doing his apprenticeship. But then after a couple of months of the apprenticeship, the guy, I don't know if he lost a contract or whatever, but he kept letting him down, and he'd go to work and wait for him, and the guy didn't turn up. So
Lee would go and wait, and the employer let him down.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So he ended. So that went on for a few months, and then so that was when we decided to move, and he then started his second year of college, where we moved to.
I understand.
And then he did his second year.
Yes.
And then throughout, he was okay. He went to college every day and did his course. But then towards the end of it, he was getting frustrated with not being able to get through a certain part of it, being able to fix it. I don't know. I can't remember. And he just walked out. He just said, "Right, I'm not doing it.
Yes.
I can't do it." And so he was literally at the end of the course and just needed to just try and keep going for a little while longer, but he just said, "No, I'm not doing it."
Yes. During the whole of that period, I think he was a cannabis user, and you were aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things you tell us, is that when you moved, you and he, or perhaps you for him, were hoping for a fresh start.
No, he that's what he wanted.
Yes.
He wanted to get away from some of the things that he'd got involved in where we used to live,
Yes.
and wanted to start again, and he tried really, really hard to stop smoking.
Yes.
But didn't.
And I think your impression, both then and now, was that what that offered to him was some sort of relief from the emotional distress that was by then becoming much more frequent and much more obvious.
Yeah.
In 2019, by January 2019, what you tell us is that his struggles with his mental health or his emotions were becoming really very much more obvious.
Yeah.
And you encouraged him again to make an appointment with the doctor.
Yeah.
The records tell us that on the 25th of January 2019, he did go to his GP, and that GP noted depressive symptoms and past suicidal thoughts. And also that record tells us that Lee told the GP on that day that he had tried to hang himself the previous year, but had stopped.
Yeah, that was just before Christmas.
Did you know about that at the time?
No, he told me when I got him to go to the doctors.
A few days after that visit to the GP, so moving to the 30th of January, I think a different doctor, or perhaps the same one, it doesn't matter, prescribed antidepressants and discussed with Lee possibly trying to reduce his use of cannabis.
Yeah.
The antidepressants, I think he stayed on for, you said, approximately 6 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And you tell us that initially those did help.
Yeah, after a couple of weeks I could tell the difference. He was a lot more positive, a lot happier. They were helping him. I think they were helping him regulate his brain a little bit better. To the point where he decided that he was better now, and that he didn't need them anymore.
Yes.
And I said to him, "No, you can't just come straight off of them. You need to go. You need to talk to the doctor, and maybe if you want to reduce the dosage or take them every other day or something like that, but you need to talk to the doctor about it first."
Yes.
And he phoned the doctor to make an appointment to talk to the doctor. He did listen to what I was saying, luckily, but they never called him back, so he never got the call back to discuss with the doctor, so he just stopped taking them.
Yes. So he did what you advised and called the GP to discuss possibly gradually coming off those antidepressants.
Yeah.
Never received the follow-up call.
No.
Just tell us a little about how Lee would have dealt with that, the sense of rejection or the lack of follow-up.
That's it. that was it. He would not talk to the doctor, even though I said to him, come on, you know, they're busy, you know, call them again, I'll call them for you, make an appointment. No, she's not interested, doesn't care about me, so not talking to him.
So very black and white maybe in the thinking, and now that person has, I'm so sorry, now that person has let me down, that's it.
Yeah.
What you say is that you think that failure to make a follow-up call to him itself led to quite a significant worsening of his mental health.
Yeah, it was another being let down, and that nobody cares about him.
Yes. I want to move, please, to the 1st of June 2019, which is what you describe as the crisis point.
Yeah.
How had Lee been between April 2019, when he stopped his antidepressants, and this crisis point that we're going to come on to discuss in early June 2019?
Again, I could tell that he was starting to go down again, and obviously trying to encourage him to go back to the doctors.
Yes.
But he just refused and said, no, they're not bothered about me. So, and even still, like, even if they hadn't have had that message to say, the callback request from them, the fact that they'd put him on the medication.
Yes.
Surely they knew how many they'd given him, how much dosage they'd given him, some kind of reminder for them to say, right, we need to follow up on him, but there was nothing from them at all.
Just even in terms of, is this person still taking this medication? Are they coming for a repeat prescription?
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is sort of just falling off a...
Yeah.
Did he actually speak to the GP at the time, or did he just speak to one of the receptionists?
As far as I'm aware, he spoke to the surgery,
The receptionist.
and asked to speak to
the doctor.
to have a call back or an appointment or something from the doctors.
Thank you.
So I could tell that he was starting to decline again, and
Yes.
going back to dealing with each incident as it happened.
Yes.
If he, quite often it was more about work. I can't remember what work he was in at the time, because he used to sort of have a job for a few weeks,
Yes.
maybe a couple of months, and then something would have happened, and he would just, that's it, and just finish. And I do remember at that time, it must have been around that time, he decided he wanted to join the army.
I see.
So he went for the assessment. I think it was in Chelmsford. He had to do some... I remember him going running, because he had to show them that he could run a certain amount of time, and he had to time it.
Yes, a certain level of physical fitness.
Yeah, I remember him coming home and saying, right, I did that many kilometres in that amount of time, and then he was waiting for an email to then go on to the next phase.
Yes.
I don't know if he ever got that email. I don't know what happened after that, but nothing further happened.
Nothing came of it as far as you know.
No.
I understand. If you want to follow it, I'm looking at page 5 of your witness statement now, and at paragraph 30. I don't think you need to follow it on paper, but just so that you know where we are. As I understand it, on the 1st of June 2019, there was some distress from Lee that morning because his phone had stopped working.
Yeah.
And you were on your way to visit his sister, your daughter.
Yeah, she was on her way to me, and we were going to Braintree. So I said to Lee, wait till she gets here, and then we'll all go together, and you can go and get your phone fixed. And then he wanted to go now, and I said, look, we've only got a couple of hours.
Yes.
Wait until she gets here, and then we'll go together.
Yes.
Because otherwise it meant me going backwards and forwards. So yeah, that's what we did. We went together, them two went off to the shop,
Yes.
and Vic done something,
Yes.
and then on the journey home, I can't remember if we did anything else. I'm not really sure, but on the journey home, something wasn't working on his phone, and he that was when he really kicked off and got really, really angry. He wanted me to turn around and go back, and I said, no, come on, let's go home and we'll work it out and see what we can do. And he was really, really angry.
Yes.
And he got out of the car and he walked home. And then when he got home was when he said that he needed help.
Yes. Was that the first time? So you got home, he had walked. Your daughter is sitting with you now. You were together, and you say, I think in fact what he said to you is that he needed help because he would, in the absence of help, he would hurt himself or someone else.
Yeah. I mean, he'd been like that before, like where he said he needed help, and that was obviously times when I'd said to him about going to the doctors and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
But that time he was more like he wasn't taking no for an answer. He just knew that that's what he wanted. He knew that he needed to go and be taken somewhere or do something.
He was making clear to you that he was in crisis.
Yeah.
You called the 111 service, who advised that he be taken to hospital for an emergency mental health.
Well, they spoke to him as well.
Did they?
Yeah,
Right.
he was laying in his room, and I had to give the phone to him, and I didn't listen to the conversation. They spoke to him.
Yes.
And then he gave the phone back to me, and that's when they said to me that I needed to take him to Broomfield.
I see. And you did that, getting to Broomfield A&E at about 7:40 p.m.
Yeah.
And there was a crisis mental health assessment carried out, actually, I think about an hour later.
Yeah.
As I understand it, you were present during that assessment.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what you remember about it? So, for example, how long did it last? And it may be that you don't remember, but tell us what you do remember.
I don't remember how long it lasted. There was lots of talking about how he was feeling and what had happened during the day and previous things like being on the depression tablets and stuff.
Yes.
And then obviously talking to him as well. I can't remember whether or not they asked me to leave the room at any point and speak to him. I can't really remember that.
Can you remember what kinds of questions the assessing clinician asked Lee?
Not in detail, but just more about how he was feeling and what sort of thoughts that he was having, and was there maybe sort of questions about was there anything that in particular had happened that would make him be feeling like this, and he just explained to them that he gets to feel the way he does for different situations. And
what about questions, forward-looking questions about needing help and his own plans and what he had said to you and possibly to 111 about feeling that he might hurt himself or someone else? Do you remember that being covered?
I can't remember.
No.
But I'm sure it was. He described everything that. But obviously, I didn't listen to what he said to 111, so I don't know whether they re-asked him the questions that he'd said to that. But yeah, they did ask him, like the incidents and how he was feeling and everything.
And during the assessment, how was he? Because obviously at home, and what had led you to call 111 was him being very clear that he had reached a crisis point. How was he presenting during that assessment at A&E? When
they were listening to him, he was calm and answering questions. Every time they started to suggest that he didn't need to be admitted in whichever way, and that maybe it could be dealt with in the community. He was agitated. He walked out a couple of times. I had to go and find him, get him to come back and talk to us, because he was just adamant that he needed to be in hospital. And he wasn't taking no for an answer.
Yes. Were you asked or offered the opportunity to provide any input into the background or Lee's character or what had led him to that point during the assessment on the 1st?
Yeah, they asked me about the history of him. And like I say, there wasn't too many incidences before. Obviously, everything that had happened before was dealt with, like in a bubble, with just me and him talking to each other, and obviously going to the doctors.
Yes.
But because it wasn't an ongoing, like sometimes it's absolutely fine, like just normal life, living day to day, socialising, going to work, everything, just what we'd say
Ordinary
normal
life.
life. And it was just pockets of problems
Yes.
that we just dealt with. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I told him about anything in particular,
Yes.
but obviously the big things, the going, like, he had a lot of problems with a girl at the time that
Yes.
caused him a lot of distress, that obviously I had to sit and talk to him about a lot and talk through with him and everything. And the other stuff.
Yes. I wondered whether, and it might not have come out and you might not remember, whether either you or Lee mentioned the matter we discussed when Lee had told the GP that the previous year he had tried to hang himself. Did that come up during the assessment on the 1st of June, as far as you can remember?
I don't know. I can't remember.
All right.
And it might have been talked about when he was on his own with them as well.
Yes,
But
of
I
course.
can't remember if that particular thing was talked about then. But I would say it was, because obviously he was trying to explain to them that this wasn't the first time he was feeling the way he was.
Yes.
So I'm sure it would have been.
As you remember, would it be right for me to say that Lee was very open with them, with the assessing clinician?
Yes.
And made it obvious that he was, by then, desperate for some help.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
As I understand it, there was some discussion during that assessment about whether or not it might be appropriate to detain Lee under section. Do you recall that?
No, I don't remember whether there was or not.
That's fine. I'll ask you just very briefly, please, just to look at page 7 and paragraph 39 of your witness statement. And it may be that you don't know because this comes from the records, but I just want to be clear. What you say there is that the assessing clinician stated that sectioning was not considered because Lee believed that medication would not help him. Now, is that something that's come from your legal team's analysis of the records, or is it something that you recall?
No, I mean, I don't remember being told that sectioning was not considered, but I do know that any time anybody was talking to him, he kept on saying that he doesn't need medication because he's not depressed. So he was adamant that he wasn't taking any medication.
What did he want to have happen?
I think he wanted somebody to make sure his brain was working properly.
Yes. And to listen to him. Thank you. We'll come on to the events of the next few days, but during the whole of this quite short period, so running from the 1st of June, which I've described and you've described as the crisis point, to the 6th of June, when in fact Lee was discharged, did anyone discuss the possibility of, any clinician or staff member discuss the possibility of sectioning Lee with you? Can you recall?
No.
What actually happened was that it was decided that Lee could be managed in the community.
Uh-huh.
That was the conclusion of the assessment,
Yeah. Once he'd been assessed in the hospital.
Yes. Lee then became, as I understand it, quite desperate and insisted that he had to be helped that day or he would hurt someone or himself.
Yeah.
And what you were told, I think, is that there were no beds available whatsoever.
In the whole country.
What was your reaction to that, Carol?
In a way, obviously, I didn't believe that was true. But, as I've said all the way through everything, I trusted the process.
Yes.
Everything that they told me, I believed, because I didn't have any reason to not believe at the time what I was being told, and also not being involved in any of this before.
Yes.
I always thought that everything they were doing was for his best interest, and accepted what they were telling me.
Yes.
But obviously, and I did say the next day when he was eventually admitted.
Yes.
It's funny how there was room in the lakes the next day.
Yes.
But there wasn't any that night.
Yes.
So, sort of a little bit sort of at the time.
Yes, I understand, because by the time you left hospital, I think it was on the 1st of June, having gone in for that first assessment, it was quite late.
Yeah.
You went home, and we'll come to it, he was in fact admitted to the lakes the next day.
Yeah.
But on the 1st, when you left the hospital, can you remember whether you or Lee were given any advice or a plan or what to do if he deteriorated further and the crisis deepened? Can you remember whether any information was given to either of you about...
Yeah, we were given some kind of leaflet, crisis, if he declined even more overnight,
Yes.
this is who I needed to call.
Yes.
And we were just told that during the day tomorrow they would contact us. They'll be trying to find a bed for him.
Yes.
And that they'd contact us the next day.
Thank you.
I can't quite understand, how did they go from the assessment, which had decided he needed to be looked after in the community, and saying there were no beds anywhere in the country, to letting him come back the next day? They'd look for a bed the next day. Do you see what I mean? There doesn't seem to be much consistency in that. Were they saying he would definitely need a bed and would have to come back the next day? Or were they saying there was no need for him to be admitted?
They tried a few times to get us to agree that the community would be the place for him, that he didn't need to be admitted, but he just kicked off and again told them.
And they agreed.
To the point that he just said to them, if you don't admit me, I'm going to either go out and do something to myself, or I'm going to do something to somebody else to make sure that I am admitted.
Thank you.
So that I don't know at what point they realised that he was serious and that's what he needed.
Yes. So you went away on the understanding that there were no beds available in the entirety of this country, but that one would be being looked for, and then that you would receive some contact the next day from the Home First treatment team.
Yeah.
That contact did come, I think, at about midday the next day. A community psychiatric nurse came to the house to see him. And you were there through, well, not through all of it, but you were there at first.
I was there for the whole thing.
You were there throughout. Yeah. What you tell us is that initially during the conversation with the CPN, Lee was quite calm.
Yeah.
And would it be right for me to say that that was because the follow-up had occurred exactly as had been promised?
Yeah.
There was the step that he had been told would take place.
Yeah.
Someone was there to speak to him.
Yeah.
As the conversation developed, I understand that there came talk of whether he might be able to see a psychiatrist the next day, which would have been the 3rd, or perhaps on the 4th. And it became apparent to Lee that he might be being dismissed, or that his concerns about the crisis state he was in might not be being taken
Yeah.
seriously, and,
Yeah.
and then he became very distressed and agitated.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
He became very distressed. He laid on the floor and was crying and punched the floor.
Yes.
And he broke his hand.
Yes.
Broke it, like the knuckle on his hand. Which obviously, once they found the bed, I took him over to A&E in Colchester and they x-rayed it, which was when we found out that he'd actually broken it.
Yes.
But again, the distress of being told that they wasn't going to do what they asked him to do,
Yes.
what he asked them to do, he became really distressed again.
Of course. And I think then, I mean, you tell us, but the conversation with the CPN then moved to possible admission to hospital.
Yeah.
And what you tell us in your witness statement is that he was incredibly emotionally distressed by that point and clinging to you and sobbing.
Yeah.
I know from your photographs from the commemorative account that Lee was a smoker, because you had a lovely photo of him smoking under a no smoking sign. But even when he was told that were he to be admitted to hospital, restrictions would apply, such as to smoking, he accepted that. He just wanted the help.
Yeah.
And said so.
Yeah.
So I understand that, as you say, not very many hours after you had been told there were no beds at all, a bed was found that day at the Lakes.
Yeah.
Did you go with him to the Lakes for the admission,
Yeah.
the assessment and admission process?
If I remember rightly, the lady went away because she didn't come with the information
No.
that the bed was available.
I see.
She went away, and then we had to wait again. But he was still calm because he'd been told that yes, this was going to happen, and that they went away to find a bed for him.
Yes.
And then they phoned us to tell us that the bed was available. And we went down there we got there about 4 o'clock, I think,
Yes.
that day. So he packed up some stuff and some toiletries and bits, and I took him there.
Can you remember very much about taking him there and the admission process and what took place?
Yeah, we went in and we were met by one of the people that worked there. They showed him what room he was going to be staying in, showed him where he needed to put his toiletries, and there was a
Yes.
little place for his cigarettes and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Told him sort of the rules of being able to go, because obviously he wasn't sectioned, so he was allowed to go outside and smoke and stuff.
Yes. Was there a mental health assessment that you remember?
I don't remember him seeing somebody, because it was Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
I don't remember him seeing anybody as soon as we got there. It was more sort of checking in, really.
Yes. As in checking into the facility,
checking in,
getting him settled.
Yeah.
One of the things you say in your witness statement is that during his admission, you do not consider that you were properly consulted as a family about any assessments that might be taking place.
No, I went every day when I finished work, and I spoke to some of the professionals that he saw.
Yes.
And they gave me an analysis of what had happened that day. But I was never told, as far as I remember, I was never told what was going to happen tomorrow.
Or what the plan was.
Yeah.
Yes. So on the Sunday when you first arrived there, you left Lee there, obviously, because he was checked in. Did anyone tell you he was a voluntary patient? You knew that. He was admitted voluntarily. He was not under section. As I understand it from your witness statement, the possibility of sectioning Lee was not discussed on that Sunday during the sort of check-in process to the Lakes.
No.
Did anyone tell you what the plan was, or did you have any idea when you walked out of the Lakes how long he might be there,
No.
or what was going to be happening?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. what was going to happen, just that he would be, anything that was going to happen would be starting on the Monday.
I see. And did anyone on the Sunday, while you were present, ask either him or you any questions about his background, mental health problems leading up to that admission, what had occurred? Do you remember?
I don't remember anybody asking me any questions, and I think we were only seen by an admin type person.
Yes.
For the time that I was there, it was all just about
I see, not
where
by
he
a
was
clinical
going.
member
Yeah,
of
we
staff.
wasn't. I don't think we were seen by any kind of professionals, because I wasn't there very. I remember not being there very long.
Yes.
So it was more sort of dropping him off and making sure that he was safe and calm.
Yes.
I wouldn't say happy, but calm.
Yes. He was there, in fact, from the 2nd when you dropped him off until his discharge on the 6th.
Uh-huh.
So not very many days at
No.
all. During the whole of that period, you visited every day.
Yeah.
And he was also, as a voluntary patient, entitled to come out on leave, which you did.
Yeah.
And I think on the 5th of June, he asked to come home for the night and was allowed to come out for overnight leave.
Yeah. I think if I remember rightly, they sort of said that they'd done all the assessments that they needed to do, and that on the Thursday was the day they were going to sit down and talk to us and give their findings and work out what, moving forward, what was going to happen from there.
Yes.
So I think, I don't know, I can't remember for definite, but maybe I sort of knew at that point that he may be coming home on the Thursday, that he wouldn't be staying any longer than that, because he knew he was ready and he knew that he was in the right place.
Yes.
Sorry, that he knew, not that he was in the right place, he knew that he didn't need to be there because he could tell by the time that he'd been in there that as much as he thought he was, how bad he thought he was, he didn't realise, he realised that he was better than he thought he was because of all the other people that were in there.
So seeing some of the other patients on that ward led him to that realisation that perhaps it wasn't the place for him.
Yeah, he realised that he was not as in need as some of the people that were in there.
Yes. During his stay, as far as you saw, you've just said it, but he wasn't happy, but you described him as calm.
Yeah.
That crisis sort of agitation that you have described from the 1st and 2nd had gone,
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah, because he was being listened to
Yes.
and cared for.
Yes. As I understand it, other than engagement with you and understanding what the plan was, you have no particular complaints about his stay at the Lakes,
No,
or about staff, or about the way he was treated.
no, not at all. He didn't say that anything nasty had happened.
Yes.
That he was treated badly. He was quite absolutely fine about everything that was going on in there.
Yes.
Telling me little stories about some of the other people that were in there and
Yes.
the way things had happened. But even to other people, he didn't say that he'd seen anything nasty in any
Yes.
way and anybody being treated badly, because I would have been the first person, if he'd have come to me and said, "Mum, this happened," I
Yes.
would have been the first person that would have been shouting at him,
Of
saying,
course.
"Why did you treat my son like this?" But nothing at all.
Nothing at all. And I think, as you said, you feel that short stay gave him something of a new perspective on the state of his own mental health and how he might move forward.
Yeah.
Most crucially, as I understand it, at some point during that stay, I think on the final day, the psychiatrist who was in charge of Lee's care gave him a diagnosis, and that diagnosis was emotionally unstable personality disorder, or EUPD.
Yeah.
On that, first, as far as you are aware, what was Lee's reaction to being given that diagnosis?
That finally there was that there was a reason why he was like he was.
Yes. Could I say that he was relieved to have the diagnosis? Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know if relieved's the right word, but
Okay.
just, maybe relieved is the right word, but he just felt that there was an answer. It wasn't just in his head.
Yes. You tell us about that diagnosis, and you tell us in your witness statement that the treating psychiatrist explained what EUPD is and said that it did not require hospitalisation. Just so that I am clear, were you present for that explanation? Is this something that you were there for when that diagnosis was given?
Yes, but I don't know whether or not they told him before, because obviously I arrived later.
Yes.
And whether or not they'd, I think they did. I think they did tell him, and they sort of explained to him the symptoms of
Yes.
EUPD, and
Yes.
it sort of gave him a lot of answers as to why he felt the way he did.
Yes.
And then obviously they went through it all again with me when I got there. But
And when
what,
you say... No, go ahead.
but
Sorry
what
to
more
interrupt.
they said to him,
You don't know?
I don't know.
Of course. In terms of what you do know, because of what information was shared with you, do you consider, looking back, that you were given adequate information about that condition and its symptoms and how to help him, bearing in mind that he was coming to the end of his period of hospitalisation?
They obviously they told me what it was. They gave me a sort of synopsis of what the symptoms are, but I
Yes.
went home and read about it properly.
Yes.
And yes, it did answer a lot of questions, and it did give me a lot of explanation as to the reason why he'd been like he had been for a lot of his life.
Yes.
And they just said that it would be further ongoing treatment for him, counselling, teaching him how to deal with the situations as they come up, teaching
Yes.
him how to navigate the way his brain was feeling
Yes.
when they came up, because day to day, if everything was okay, he was fine.
Yes.
He was just normal, the same as the rest of us. Just got up with work, dinner, normal stuff. It was when there was a situation that he just couldn't.
These pockets of
Yeah,
crisis that
yeah,
you've described.
Yeah, he just couldn't. He couldn't channel his feelings and work out how to deal with them. So to him, going and sitting in his room for a couple of days
Yes.
and smoking lots of weed would make it all better.
Yes. So I think you understood, you don't know what they might have told Lee before you were spoken to about that diagnosis and the plan, but what you were told, is this right, is that he was going to be discharged that day and that there would be then follow-up from home treatment teams.
Yes.
And in particular, I think you were told that the first follow-up would come within 48 hours.
Yes.
As far as you are aware, that's the same information that Lee himself was given.
Yeah. Well, we were told together.
I see.
So whether they'd told him as well, but everything that happened when I went to the hospital that day, he was with me.
Yes. When did you first come to learn that a decision had been taken to discharge Lee that day, the 6th?
Because he self-admitted.
Yes.
I think he told them that he wanted to go home.
Understood.
And they didn't disagree.
Yes.
I don't know that they were going. If he'd have decided that he needed more,
Yes.
whether they would have told him he had to go home. I don't know the answer to that question.
I understand.
But he wanted to come home.
Yes. Other than being told that there would be some follow-up within 48 hours, and alongside what you had been told about EUPD, that it didn't require hospitalisation, that it wouldn't require antidepressant medication,
Yeah.
that he would likely benefit from therapy.
Yeah.
Other than that information, were you given any more details, for example, about what the follow-up arrangements would be or when those would occur and from who?
Yes, we were told that we would be hearing from the mental health team.
Yes.
And I don't remember the bit about the phone calls and all. I don't remember what they said about the phone calls, but I do remember that within 2 weeks we would be allocated a care coordinator or whatever it was they called
Yes.
them.
That was
And-
something that assurance was given to you on the 6th
Yes.
before he left the
Yes.
lakes. And I think you make reference in your witness statement to the fact that you were told that he was on a waiting list. Was that for a care coordinator?
Yeah, so after 2 weeks, when I hadn't heard anything,
Yes.
I called them and they said, yes, he's on the list. We've got all of his information, that he's waiting to be allocated a care coordinator.
Yes. So you leave together on the 6th of June, both thinking that some sort of follow-up will come, even if it's just an arrangement for another, to arrange therapy or whatever it's going to be, within 48 hours, and that never came.
I don't know if, because obviously they had his phone number.
Yes.
So I don't know whether, I can't remember whether or not they said that, whether he told me that they'd called.
Yes.
Because obviously he's an adult and not with me 24/7. So if they did call him, I don't remember whether he told me or not.
I understand. You can look at it if you want to. I'm not suggesting that you need to. What you tell us on page 11 of your witness statement, and I'm looking at about paragraph 70, is that the later report, the RCA report, tells us that follow-up was not arranged in time,
Okay.
and that actually attempts were only made to begin to arrange it on the 10th of June. Now, those attempts to begin to arrange that follow-up care did not come through you.
No. At the time, obviously, because of the problem that he had with his phone before he went into the hospital,
Yes.
he was in the middle of change, because I got him a SIM card for being in hospital.
Yes.
So he had 3 different phone numbers. He had 2 different phone numbers at the time, and they had my phone number as well.
Yes.
So he gave them all of the phone. We gave them all of the phone numbers.
When did you do that?
When he was admitted.
I see. So you know that they had your phone number and his, because were you present when those phone numbers were
Yeah.
noted down?
Yeah.
And that was on the 2nd of June, the Sunday?
Yeah, and his temporary phone number, that the SIM card that I'd bought in because of the other one was broken.
Yes.
Because that was what the problem was that his SIM card wouldn't work in the. It was SIM card problem. I don't know.
Yes.
So yeah, so he had 3 phone numbers, and we gave them all.
Yes.
And he also gave them permission to speak to me if they couldn't get
hold of him.
in contact with him.
When did he give that permission?
At every point,
I see.
to everybody.
Would it be fair for me to say that it was made clear that you were to be contacted if he couldn't be reached?
Yeah.
At every stage?
Yeah.
At any stage, from the 6th of June, when he left the lakes, to the day that he died, were you contacted?
No.
Other than the calls you yourself made to try to get assistance or follow-up for Lee, you heard nothing?
No.
We also learn from the RCA report that an appointment was scheduled apparently for the 12th of June, so that would have been 5 or 6 days after he had left the lakes, and that an appointment had been scheduled for the 19th of June, so a week later, but that apparently he didn't attend them. Now, you've seen nothing at all to indicate that he even knew about those
No.
appointments.
No.
He didn't speak to you about anyone having arranged an appointment. Certainly, as we've established, nobody contacted you. And there were no letters.
No.
He lived at home with you.
Yeah, and even if he'd had got in before me and opened a letter addressed to
Yes.
him, I never found, as I said in my statement, when we were clearing his room, there was lots of paperwork, pay slips, etc.
Yes.
There was no letters at all from them.
About any appointments? Apart from anything else, one of the things you say to us in your witness statement is that you consider that if those appointments were arranged and clinicians were expecting him to attend, whether or not he'd actually been notified of them, the fact that he didn't then attend either of them should, in your mind, have triggered some concern or some sort of action.
Yes.
As far as you are aware, it did not.
No.
Again, Carol, looking at paragraph 74 now on page 11 of your witness statement, you tell us that Gosfield ward, which is the ward he had been on at the Lakes,
Yeah.
told you on the 12th that they were trying to contact Lee. Is that because you had called Gosfield ward on the 12th? How did that contact come about?
Maybe that was the first.
Your first call to try?
Yeah, I don't know if they called me or I called them.
Understood.
I'm sure I would have called them because he hadn't heard anything.
Yes. So that was the other thing. During the whole of this period, I understand that you're saying you can't know for certain what contact was made with Lee because there's a possibility he wouldn't have told you. But during the period from the 6th of June and through that summer, he was telling you that he hadn't had any follow-up contact, wasn't he?
Well, he wasn't telling me that he had.
Understood. So the other way round.
Yeah, he would have told me.
Right.
If, because one, he didn't drive, and everywhere you go where we live needs transport.
You would have been
He would have
taxi.
asked me to take him.
Yes.
And asked me to come with him as well because
see.
I was heavily involved in everything that was going on.
Yes.
And obviously, from when I started calling them 2 weeks after, I knew that he hadn't had any contact with them
Yes.
because they hadn't. They told me that nothing was happening.
Nothing had been done.
Yeah,
I understand from your witness statement that however that contact with the ward at the Lakes had arisen on the 12th, you did, during that call, voice your concerns about the complete absence of the follow-up that he had been assured of. And what you were told is that the ward would contact Lee the following day and notify the home treatment team so that action would be taken.
Yeah.
That's the assurance you were given on the phone on the 12th. And what the RCA report tells us is that no email was ever sent following that call and you voicing your concerns.
yeah, and also that the 12th of June
Yes.
was the date that I spoke to them.
Yes.
Well, they didn't say anything to me about an appointment that had been made for him.
For that day?
Yeah.
Or indeed for the 19th?
Yeah,
Which the RCA records as, or the records show, sorry, not the RCA, the records show were sort of categorised as missed appointments.
yeah.
Nobody said to you during that call, well, hang on a minute, actually, Mrs. Stokes, he's got an appointment today.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand.
Because I would have made sure he'd have got there.
Of course. Because presumably, even by the 12th of June, you yourself were extremely concerned, given all that we've said about how Lee reacted
Yeah,
to being let down,
yeah,
that he might, on this occasion, be being let down.
yeah. And also, when I had the meeting with EPA after the inquiry,
Yes,
I asked them to show me what phone number they called him on,
yes,
because or how they actually informed him of the meetings, and they couldn't.
they weren't able to.
They couldn't tell me whether they wrote to him, whether they emailed him, or whether they phoned him, and if they did phone him, what phone number did they phone him on? Because he had 3 numbers on record at the time, and they couldn't give me any proof at all of how contact was made.
What efforts they had made to contact him. That meeting, I think, took place on the 10th of February 2020.
Yeah.
That was a meeting with the Trust.
Yeah,
only 6 days after the inquest into Lee's death.
Yeah.
Did you also ask at that meeting whether anyone had made any attempt to contact you during the whole of that period?
That's what I said to them, that he gave permission for me to be spoken to throughout everything.
Yes.
So why was I not, if he didn't turn up at those appointments that you say were made for him,
Yes.
why was I not called?
And the response was?
That because he was an adult, that they didn't generally do that.
Yes.
And again, I explained what I've said now, that especially for me, if my son was in a coma laying on a bed, they would talk to me about his care and what was happening, because they couldn't talk to him. So why, when somebody's in mental health crisis, do they not talk to somebody else?
Yes.
Because they're not always, even though he came across as being able to listen and understand.
Yes.
Was he taking it in? Was he listening?
Was he stable enough to process the information?
Exactly.
I think is one of the things you say, and able to. He needed your help, is what you were making very clear, I think, as you said, at every stage.
Yeah. And to make sure that he was, because sometimes when he was in a good place, he didn't feel like he needed any help anymore.
Yes.
So we knew that he needed to. I knew that he needed to carry on with this because he needed to learn how to deal with himself when he was in a bad place.
Yes.
But when he was in a good place, he didn't feel that he needed any help at all. So to say to anybody, "Oh no, I'm fine now, I'm all right now,"
Yes.
we knew that he still needed that continuation.
Because although he couldn't necessarily see it in an ordinary or good period, you were aware, and in some part of him he was aware, that another pocket of crisis would come.
Yeah.
As I understand it, as far as you are aware, there was no contact at all between the 13th of June, so that's the day after you had a call with the ward and expressed your concerns, and the 7th of August, because on the 7th of August, you called and expressed your frustration.
Yeah, I'd called another few times in between that time. I sort of scheduled sort of every 2 or 3 weeks. So I think it works out about 4 times I might have contacted them, and
Over
was
the entire
told,
period.
and was told each time he's still waiting for a care coordinator to be allocated to him. And then on the 7th of August, I don't think he wasn't in a bad place, but he just got up late that day for work because he went to work really early.
Yes.
And me and him ended up having a little bit of an argument, and I took him to work. So then I was running early for my own work that day. So on the way to work, I thought, right, I must give him another call. I wasn't concerned about his mental health on that day.
Yes.
But I was, again, trying to make sure that the help was coming.
Yes.
Because we'd been waiting for 12 weeks at that point, or 8 weeks, or whatever, however long it works out.
Yes.
So I called him again, and this time I said to him, I'm not accepting you saying to me that he's still on this list.
Yes.
I want some answers. Put me through to a supervisor. Put me through to somebody that can give me an answer. So she said, okay, I'll get somebody to call you back. And as I've explained before, I used to work in somewhere where I wasn't able to take phone calls all day.
Yes.
So when I had I don't remember whether I had a message or not on my phone when I come down to the office in my lunch break, but I called them.
Yes.
And they said,
later that same day?
That day, yeah.
Yes.
So I either reminded myself that I needed to call them, or I had a message from them.
Yes.
So I called them, and they said to me, "Don't worry, we've spoken to him. We don't need to talk to you now." So they'd called him during the morning.
After your call first thing in the
After I'd
morning.
called them.
Yes.
And he was angry with me that I'd called them, because as far as he was concerned, he was okay. And
had he also given up on them in the way that you had described earlier he did with his GP about the antidepressants, or do you think he was still hopeful?
In that time, I didn't have conversations with him about the fact that nothing had happened, because I was trying to keep him positive,
Yes.
keep him looking to the future,
And not focus him
and not
on
focusing on
that.
the fact that he'd been let down,
Yes.
or he was being let down. So I tried not to talk about it with him, and I didn't tell him each time I called them, because again, that was another thing I was conscious of with the EUPD, that being let down was something that was a triggering thing for him.
Yes.
So they said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We've spoken to him."
Yes.
So when I got home, and at the same time, my husband was really not very well at all. So I'd messaged Lee in my lunch break, because my husband hadn't answered me all day,
Yes.
and asked him, would he just go and check that Gary's okay?
This was still on the 7th.
This was, on the 7th.
As in just go and
just
check
go
that
and
he's...
check that Gary's okay, because he was in his bed and he hadn't answered me all day.
Yes.
And Lee didn't. And so when I got home from work, I went in to talk to Lee, and I said to him, I'm really upset with you that you haven't let me know that Gary was okay.
Yes.
And he was angry with me because the mental health team had called him.
Yes.
And said, like, why are you phoning them? And I said to him, I didn't want what he was angry with me because I thought that his mental health was going down that day.
I understand.
And because we'd had this little argument, and he was saying to me, Mum, I'm fine, like everything's fine, like you don't need to keep on phoning them. And like, why do you think that just because we had a little argument that I'm I'm not well again?
Yes.
But I was trying to get him the help that he needed for the future,
Of course.
not just that day. Like I thought that he was in crisis that day, and not
Yes.
in crisis, but bad that day.
You were trying to get them to do what
They
had said they would.
exactly. So it was a bit of a misunderstanding between us. So he was angry with me.
Well, Carol, you were, if I can put it in this way, walking a bit of a tightrope.
Yeah.
Because in the background and quietly and without exacerbating Lee's stress or sense of rejection or upset, you were desperately trying to get the follow-up that you had been assured would come.
Yeah.
But also then when he did find out and some contact was made, trying to ensure that he wasn't upset by it, didn't feel any sense of judgment or rejection
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
Do you know, given those circumstances and that he was angry with you about it for the reasons you've explained, do you know what that conversation was, the contact between him and the mental health team on the 7th?
No.
Do you know whether any kind of appointment was arranged?
No idea. All I know is that they said to me that they had spoken to him,
Yes.
and obviously me and him argued about that happening.
Yes.
But what they told him, what they promised him, what was going to happen, I don't know the answer.
I understand.
It took him a couple of days to calm down and start talking to me again.
Yes.
And then again, doing what I was doing, whether I was right or wrong, sort of just pushing it under the carpet
Yes.
and hoping that
Trying to keep things on an even keel.
and keep him on an even keel.
Yes.
So all they said to me every time I called was that he was waiting to be a care coordinator, and that we've got phone numbers to call if he declines.
Yes, and I think you were also told a number of times that they couldn't discuss Lee's care with you because he was an adult.
On that day was one of the days, because all the other times I called, I said to them straight away, I don't want to talk about his case. I just want to know when he's going to get allocated somebody.
Yes, you weren't asking
I wasn't
for
asking
confidential
for-
details.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
wanted to know a date.
Yes.
I understand.
And
Caroline,
maybe when I spoke to her, I did say to her, so, like, what was discussed? And maybe that's the time when she said to me, we can't discuss what we talked to him about,
Yes,
because we've spoken to him.
yes. As I understand it, there was then certainly with you, no other contact
No.
in the rest of August.
Yeah.
I'd like to move, if at all possible, to the days leading up to Lee's death and the events surrounding those. You tell us that, I think, can I put it in this way? He was fairly well for the rest of August. It was a period of calm.
Mm-hmm.
Over the weekend beginning Friday the 23rd of August, he didn't come out for lunch. He kept to himself a little bit and said that he didn't feel very well.
Yeah, he'd stayed at his friends for the few days before because the parents were away on holiday, and it was
Yes.
somebody that he worked with, so they both took the week off of work.
Yes.
And they, just did boy things. Buggy, what they called? Quad bikes and that sort of stuff. He had a really lovely time.
Yes.
And he came home, and he'd had a busy time, and with the other lad, and I know that there would have been quite a lot of smoking going on because they both smoked together.
Yes.
So probably he might have been a little bit more subdued because of the amount of smoking.
Yes.
So yeah, he was very quiet on the Friday. Me and my husband were off work, and I asked him to come out to lunch with us, but he didn't want to go far, and I can't remember the reason why, but we wanted to go somewhere further.
Yes.
And he didn't want to come out with us because we were going further and we were going to be out of the house for X amount of time, and he didn't want to be out of the house for that amount of time.
Yes.
So he stayed at home on that day.
On the Sunday, he went out for dinner with his sister.
Yeah.
And you say that he seemed lighter in mood and they had had a good conversation and a good time.
Yeah, because they'd had a falling out during the year. They'd not spoken to each other for a little while, so they had a chat, and they went out, just you and him together on your own, and it was nice. And he came home and he said he felt a lot better about their relationship, and they'd talked a lot about the things that had happened previously.
Yes.
And he was in good spirit.
Yes.
And felt he was okay.
On the Monday, which was the 26th, you and Lee were at home together and he was quiet, just relaxed in his room. You asked him about whether he was looking forward to going back to the work the next day, and he said yes.
Yeah, just before he went to bed that night. During the day, it was very hot. And I was saying to him, come and sit in the garden with me, because my husband was at work as well, so it was just me and him.
Yes.
I was saying to him, come and sit in the garden with me, but he didn't. And then he went out on his bike for a little while.
Yes.
But he did seem really deep in thought when he come back. I just remember him coming up the drive and he seemed like he was quite deep, which I think now was probably when he was planning doing what he was going to do.
I understand.
But I don't know, obviously I don't know the answer to that. I booked his 21st birthday present that day, and taken him to Vegas. We never went to.
I understand.
So yeah, it was calm, but obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carol, I'm being reminded, it may not be the right time. I'm being reminded that we've been going actually for an hour and 15 minutes, which is a little bit longer than I had thought. I'm going to cover that day, the 27th of August, and then, as long as the chair is content, suggest that we take a break.
Yeah.
So that we can come on to the things that you want to tell us about what happened after Lee's death, the investigations, and your proposals for change.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I understand that on the Monday, no, it wasn't a Monday, the Tuesday, the 27th of August, you woke at about 6 a.m. and you found that Lee was not in the house.
Yeah, so he started work at 6. So usually I got up and I went in his room to check that he'd got up.
Yes.
Because usually he was out of the house by the time I got up anyway.
Yes.
And he wasn't in his room.
But I think his work bag was there.
Yeah, his work bag was there. And then I went downstairs and the key was in the door,
Yes.
which meant that it was still locked. And then I went out the back and it was still locked.
Yes.
So all the doors were locked, which was a bit odd.
Yes.
And then I went out the front and his bike was there. So, and that's how he got to work. And that was when I started
Calling
realising
around.
that he was, and his work bag was there in
Yes.
his room. So that was when I first of all called his work friend.
Yes.
And because he'd already started work, he didn't answer me for a while.
Yes.
And then I started calling his phone. I can't remember. It was the fact that all the doors were still locked that I
Yes.
knew that something was different.
All was not well.
Yeah. So that was when I started calling him
Yes.
and calling his friend.
Yes.
Um,
And I understand that eventually one of the calls you were making to Lee's phone was answered by a police officer.
Yeah.
He asked you where you were and
Yeah.
came straight to the house.
Yeah.
And then he told you that Lee had been found in woods. And I mention this only because it's something that you note, that officer showed you a photograph of the note that Lee had left.
Yeah.
You, I think, the following days are mostly a blur, the days that follow after that.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember a lot of it.
Okay. The next day, I think on the 28th, you went with your son and Lee's father.
Well, we all went together.
Yes.
But it was my son and his dad that went in to identify him.
Yes. You tell us, and we will come back to this after we have a break, that no one explained to you what would happen next, what the processes were, or offered assistance at that time.
I don't know. Everybody else did all the talking for me at that point.
I understand. And that at some point on the 28th of August, the family having gone and your son and Lee's father having identified his body, you made a call to the trust to say, essentially, you can take him off your
On the
books.
way home from the hospital, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I phoned him and said, take him off your list now.
Yes.
He's not here anymore. Out of anger.
Yes. Chair, I wonder if you would be content if we take a short 10 or 15-minute break now. Thank you. Thank you. Carol, before the break, we went through the events of Lee's death, and one of the things that you tell us in your witness statement is that, looking back, you consider that the way in which you were told about his death and shown the photograph of the note was brutal, if I can put it that way.
Yes, but any way would have been brutal.
Yes. Thereafter, after your family had gone to identify Lee's body, you were, in your words, left to cope alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and
The contact you received, as I understand it, was that on the 29th of August, you received a letter from the Trust to tell you that they would be investigating Lee's care and that they'd be liaising with the coroner's office. You had a similar letter on the 17th of September 2019, sent under the duty of candour, offering you an opportunity to contribute to the investigation. and you chose not to do that. Why was that? Please understand, that isn't a criticism. Just help us understand why you decided not to contribute to the process.
Grief,
Yes,
anger,
yes,
lots of communication now, and not in the previous 12 weeks.
when you needed it.
Yeah, and every letter I received, that was my answer. You're talking to me now.
Why now?
Because you're trying to ensure that you show that you're paying attention and dealing with the issue when the
Yes.
issue is no longer here. So what's the point in trying to work out what went wrong?
Yes. You received a copy of the RCA report that was dated October 2019. You received it in January. And as I understand it, at the time, you tried to read it and process it and make notes, but just you couldn't take it in at that time.
As I remember it, I don't remember any other way, I received it as part of the inquest bundle,
I see. Not before then.
which it also enclosed witness statements of how they found him and lots of other stuff. So taking on board what they'd written in that then was not the time for me to be working,
No. Carol, did anyone prepare you for the kind of material that was likely to be in the inquest bundle?
No. I don't think so. I think I remember receiving some information about how the inquest is, the procedure, but not. I'd never been involved in anything like that before, so
No.
I didn't know what I was expecting.
No.
I knew it was going to be hard and I knew it was going to be horrible, but
Yes. That contact that you did receive, was that from the coroner's office, do you think, about the
I think
process?
so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when they sent me the dates of because the inquest was supposed to be another date, but they had to put it back a week. So I think they sent me some attachments to the emails then of the procedure and what an inquest was for and all that sort of stuff.
Yes. Do you know why it was put back by a week?
I can't remember why.
The inquest took place on the 4th of February 2020 and you did attend.
Yeah.
As I understand it, you had no legal representation.
No.
Did you know, you or as a family, before the inquest, that you could seek legal representation?
It may have been in one of the leaflets, but I didn't, at that time, understand the enormity of this situation.
Yes.
I thought I was the only person in the world that anything like this had ever happened to. So I didn't feel like there was. I wouldn't have even thought of having legal representation because to me there was nothing to need. I didn't need it.
You didn't think there was anything that you needed to be represented about?
No.
You had no awareness at the time that you might not be the only family or the only mother who found herself in this position?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember much about the inquest itself, about the day?
Yeah.
Can you remember whether or not the coroner issued a prevention of future deaths report to the trust?
She gave them 4 weeks, which actually was 2 months. I read in this. I thought it was 4 weeks to provide some information on how they would go in the future, which I think is what that's called.
Yes.
But I remember her giving them the time to come back to her with a report on the situation.
And that would have been about, so to your recollection, they were going to be asked to provide information within that specified time period about sort of lessons learned and action that was going to be taken to stop something like this happening to another family.
Yeah.
I then understand that there was a meeting with the trust that you attended just 6 days later. That's the 10th
Yeah.
of February 2020.
Yeah, they approached me after the inquest. We all went into a room
On the day. Yes.
and they asked to talk to me then, and asked if I'd go and sit in a room in the inquest in the court and talk to them, and I said no. One, because we were planting a tree for Lee that day,
Yes.
and two, because how could I sit and talk about all of this after the inquest that we'd just been to?
Yes.
So I said no, but I will talk to them,
But not that day.
but not that day.
So the meeting was arranged for the 10th, and we've spoken about that. I think you must tell me if I've missed anything. You did manage during that meeting to begin to question how could this have happened?
Yeah, that was when I actually went through the report, and I've got on my copy of that, I've got all questions and notes.
Notes that you made.
Yeah, questioning the answers that they gave, and actually challenging their answers and how did they do this, like the phone number situation. What
Yes.
number did they call?
Yes.
Where are the notes that show me the notes of the contact that you made?
Yes.
And things like that. I went through the report and questioned the things.
Is it fair for me to say that you came out of that meeting on those major issues around the contact and the lack of follow-up care with no satisfactory answers?
No, not at all. And then they wrote again an addendum to the report, and about another week later,
Yes.
answering the questions. So the second letter was answering the questions that I'd given them at the meeting.
And do you consider that those answers were satisfactory?
No, not at all. There was no answers to the questions that I'd made. They couldn't answer the questions because they didn't have the information or the any kind of reporting system or anything to say, oh, we went back to our notes and we could see that we did this and we did this. They had nothing.
It wasn't there.
No.
If you want to look at it, Carol, I'm looking now at the top of page 16 of your witness statement, where you have very helpfully, set out some of the failings that the Trust acknowledged in the root cause analysis investigation. And those, starting at paragraph 108, are a delayed and inadequate follow-up. Mm-hmm. I think you might say a little more than inadequate. There was none,
No.
as far as you could see.
No.
Poor communication and poor documentation.
No communication and poor documentation.
A failure to follow the disengagement policy, their own disengagement policy. A lack of family involvement despite consent having been given on a number of occasions and certainly at every crucial stage.
Yeah.
And lessons not implemented.
Yeah.
By that, I understand that there was some sort of recognition, at the very least, that nobody did anything about the concerns you were repeatedly raising.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that you agree with those findings, or the acknowledgement of those failings,
Yeah.
but that you consider that it goes deeper than that the failings are more than are acknowledged in that list.
Yeah.
You say it at paragraph 116, looking at the same page, at its baseline, you consider that if the Trust had followed its own policy, Lee would still be with you.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to engage, he was relieved by the fact of the diagnosis, and he was hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
And that hope was then shattered by a complete lack of action and a complete lack of follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
As a family, my understanding is that you feel utterly let down.
Yeah.
And as a mother, I understand that your overall feeling and your lasting feeling certainly now is one of anger.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Paragraph 119, on the final page of your witness statement, you've set out a number of things that you call on the chair and the government to action very strongly, and those are as follows: to recruit more medical professionals and support staff, to implement a more robust and accurate recording system, to improve training for community mental health staff, to ensure better communication with next of kin and greater involvement with families in care planning, and engagement with families in general, I think you would say,
Yeah.
to improve communication with patients, and of course to strengthen and enforce discharge planning and follow-up procedures.
Yeah.
Having been through all these matters this morning in your evidence, is there anything at all that you want to add to that list, or anything more that you want to say before we come to the close of your evidence?
No, just that obviously it's been a huge learning curve for us because we'd not been involved in anything like this before, and hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I would have been a lot more involved and kicked off a lot more by insisting help, and but as I said, I trusted them, and look where it got us. It's just really sad, and lots of other families in the same situation because they've just let everybody down.
Carol, thank you. Chair, that brings me to the end of this witness's evidence, and that brings us also to the end of public hearings for today.
Is there a photograph?
There is a photograph. Thank you. I'll ask that that be shown now. That was Lee on the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us see that. And thank you for letting us hear your evidence. I know it's been very upsetting for you, but we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.